You know, for over 75 years, NATO has been the absolute bedrock of Western security. But what if that bedrock started to crack? Right now, that entire structure is facing a potential fracture. So we're going to dive into the growing talk of a U.S. withdrawal from the alliance and what those shockwaves could really mean for the whole world. It's a one-way street. This one quote right here, it just perfectly sums up the frustration that's fueling this entire debate. It's this core belief that the U.S. is shouldering an unfair burden, and that feeling is what's behind this whole push for a potential exit. So you might be asking, why is this all coming to a head right now? I mean, these tensions have been simmering for years, right? Well, they've recently boiled over because of two pretty specific and very different points of frustration. Okay, so first, you've got the more immediate trigger, this feeling of frustration that European allies were kind of slow to offer military support during recent conflicts in West Asia, especially when it came to Iran. And then that's layered on top of this much older, chronic complaint, the belief that a lot of NATO partners just are not meeting their agreed-upon defense spending targets. But hang on. Walking away from an alliance this huge isn't so simple. It's not like a U.S. president can just wake up one day and decide to leave NATO. There's actually a pretty powerful legal barrier standing in the way, and it was designed for this exact scenario. And that barrier is Section 1250A of the National Defense Authorization Act. This is a big deal. This provision, which was signed into law as part of a bipartisan defense bill, basically acts as a critical safeguard. It explicitly says that no president can pull the U.S. out of NATO without the consent of Congress. It makes sure a huge decision like this isn't made by just one person. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it means any presidential plan to withdraw is facing a really steep uphill battle. To make it happen, they would either need to get a 2/3 supermajority vote in the Senate, which is a huge number, or get a whole new law passed by both the House and the Senate. And let's be honest, both of those are incredibly high hurdles to clear in today's political world. Okay, but let's just imagine for a second. What if those hurdles were cleared? Let's zoom out, because the consequences would ripple out way beyond just Washington or Brussels. A U.S. exit wouldn't just be breaking a military pact. It would literally shake the foundations of the entire global order. And this is where we get to that big phrase, the rules-based international order. What is that? Well, think of it as all the treaties, all the alliances, and even the unspoken agreements that have kept a sort of relative peace for decades. A U.S. withdrawal doesn't just pull one piece out of the puzzle, it could shatter the trust that makes the whole thing work. All of a sudden, every nation on Earth is forced to question its alliances and totally recalculate its security. And the fallout from that would be chaotic. You'd see a massive security vacuum open up, which could tempt other powers to expand their influence. All these long-standing alliances would suddenly become uncertain. It would force a huge shift in strategy for every single country and just completely upend the global balance of power. The world would become a much more unpredictable and, frankly, a more dangerous place. Now, let's bring the focus to the region that would feel this impact first and most intensely, Europe. For over 75 years, European security has been fundamentally tied to the U.S. A sudden withdrawal would leave the continent facing its biggest strategic crisis in generations. I mean, think about it. In a world without that American security guarantee, a world some people are calling post-Pax Americana, the old rulebook is just useless. Europe would be forced to rebuild its entire security architecture from the ground up, a massive challenge it hasn't had to face since the end of World War II. So this leaves us with a truly profound question. As Europe confronts this possibility of standing alone, it has to ask itself, how will we guarantee our own security and our own stability? What does a European future, for the first time in nearly a century, actually look like without the United States by its side?
You can download the complete notes of this video from the pinned comment below. If this video helped, do like and subscribe to the BriefCase for daily visual explanations.